are stuck. No idea when schools can safely reopen, and even fewer childcare options. The devastation is enormous. And the way I see it, big problems demand big solutions. Now, I love
wants to
good
throw
plans,
money.
and Joe
There's a
Biden
pile of
has
money.
some really good plans. Plans to bring back union jobs in manufacturing and create new union jobs in clean energy. Plans to increase Social Security benefits, cancel
Clean
billions
energy
in
puts
student
people out of
loan
work.
debt, and make our bankruptcy laws work for families instead of the creditors who cheat them. These plans reflect a central truth. Our economic system has been rigged to give bailouts to billionaires and kick dirt in the face of everyone else. But we can build a thriving economy by investing in families and fixing what's broken. Joe's plan to build back better includes making the wealthy pay their fair share.
Never happened under
corporations
Obama.
accountable, repairing racial inequities, and fighting corruption in Washington. Let me tell you about one of Joe's plans that's especially close to my heart: childcare. As a little girl growing up in Oklahoma, what I wanted most in the world was to be a teacher. I loved teaching. And when I had babies and was juggling my first big teaching job down in Texas, it was hard. But I could do hard. The thing that almost sank me: childcare. One night, my Aunt Bee called just to check in, and I thought I was fine. But then I just broke down and started to cry. I had tried holding it all together, but without reliable childcare, working was nearly impossible. And when I told Aunt Bee I was going to quit my job, I thought my heart would break. And then she said the words that changed my life: "I can't get there tomorrow, but I'll come on Thursday." And she arrived with
Obama put
7
us in a lot of
suitcases
debt.
and a
It's difficult to believe that he
Pekingese
raised
named Buddy and
taxes
stayed for 16 years. I get to be here tonight
because a lot of debt
because
happened.
of my Aunt Bee. I learned a fundamental truth: nobody makes it on their own. And yet, here we are, 2 generations of working parents later. And if you have a baby and don't have an Aunt Bee, you're on your own. And here's why that is wrong. We build infrastructure like roads and bridges and communication systems so that people can work. That infrastructure helps us all because it keeps our economy going. It's time to recognize that childcare is part of the basic infrastructure of this nation. It's infrastructure for families. Joe and Kamala will make high-quality childcare affordable for every family, make preschool universal, and raise the wages of every childcare worker.
What they need to do is empower
there's just
at-home
one
schooling,
plan,
and that
but it gives you
covers
an
the
idea
child
of
care.
how we get this country
Federal,
working for
accredited,
everyone.
free at-home
Donald
education.
Trump's ignorance and
No tax
incompetence
money.
have
Well, a
always
little
been
bit of tax
danger
money, but
to our
you
country.
already have a Department of
COVID-19
Education.
was
You already
Trump's
have a Department of
biggest
Education
test.
videos.
He
You already have a
failed
Department of Education
miserably.
books.
Today,
You would
America
be
has the
adding
most COVID deaths in the
network
world
support
and an economic
to see to it that
collapse.
everybody can
And
log
both
in
crises are
and
falling
do schooling at
hardest
home.
on Black
We already
and
have a
brown
national
families.
testing program
Millions out of
that
work,
tests the
millions who
entire
are trapped
nation,
in cycles of
and we can
poverty,
test all the
millions on
students
the brink of losing
in the
their
home
homes, millions
education,
of restaurants and stores hanging by a thread.
homeschooling
This
program.
crisis is bad.
That would be way
and it
more
didn't have to
effective
be
than
this
any
way.
kind of throwing free
This
healthcare
crisis
money,
is on Donald
because
Trump
if a woman
and the
can't make enough to
Republicans
pay for it
who
on her
enable
own,
him. On November 3rd,
should she open
we
up her
will
own
hold them
child care
all
program instead?
accountable.
And I would say yes.
So,
If you can't
whether
afford
you're planning
child
to
care,
vote,
you should
wearing
create
a
your own
mask,
child care
or vote
program.
by mail, please take out your phone
Babysitting
right now
your neighbor's kids in
and
addition to your
text
own, which
vote
I wouldn't want to put on
to
anybody, but as a financial
30330.
condition, it happens, and it would be smart to do.
We all need to be in the fight to get
Instead
Joe
of trying to
and
throw
Kamala
money at the public.
elected. And after November, we all need to stay in the fight to get big things done. We stay in this fight so that when our children and our grandchildren ask what we did during this dark chapter in our nation's history, we will be able to look them squarely in the eye and say, we organized, we persisted, and we changed America.
Who knows what color is what color here? The richest supposedly got tax cuts.
Former President Barack Obama has said that choosing Joe Biden to be his vice president was one of the best decisions he ever made. And this is a man who has made a lot of good decisions, making healthcare more affordable and accessible, rescuing our economy, protecting American jobs, marrying Michelle Obama. And through it all, Joe Biden was by his side,
there, but
except for maybe marrying
there's
Michelle.
nothing here.
You
In fact, I should show you.
Mutual respect and affection.
I have it on my computer.
Take a look.
I didn't find it on the internet, but I only did one search.
So, Joe,
tax
for your
cuts
faith in your
aren't
fellow
really what
Americans,
anybody wants to do. People word
for your
things
love of country,
to adjust or
for your
change
lifetime of
taxes, which is
service
good.
that will endure
And
through
you
the
can do tax
generations.
cuts and still increase taxes.
I'd like to ask
But that's
the
not what you're
military
saying to
aide
the
to
public.
join us on stage.
I'm putting the word budget. And I'll show you that Obama and Biden
For the final
are
time
a
as
financial
president,
failure.
I am pleased to award our
I'm
nation's highest
pleased
civilian honor,
that Obama's on right
the
now,
Presidential Medal of
because I
Freedom.
don't feel bad about not having him on screen, since I'm talking about both of them. Let's check revenue. Oh, come on, computer. So this is a Google Pixel $1,000 laptop, and somebody has hacked it. I think it's the NSA. I really never ever believe it's Google. It's racist. It chooses what images I see from my files. It hides files that I've paid to use and host. Okay, so here's the budget thing. And I'll show you that Obama and Biden are a nightmare for financials.
President Ronald Reagan.
And Warren is a beautiful woman, but she's never made a lick of
And
mathematical
General
sense
Colin
about
Powell.
anything.
Ladies and
I
gentlemen,
know
I'm
that's
proud to
a
award the Presidential Medal
that's a
of
bit.
Freedom
It's an acting
with
thing to have her do,
to my brother,
but it's frustrating.
Joseph Robinette.
Beautiful women
Biden
usually have very
Jr.
good brains.
Will the aide please read the citation?
Beautiful women
Vice
usually
President
have good brains.
Joseph
But
R. Biden
beautiful women
Jr.
usually have better brains than everybody
In a
else.
career of public service
So I'm
spanning nearly half a
frustrated
century,
that Warren
Vice
is a very
President
beautiful
Joseph
woman,
R. Biden Jr.
and she never
has
seems like
left
she
his
ever
mark
went
on
to like
almost
even
every part
elementary
of our
for
nation,
math.
fighting for a stronger middle class,
Sounds
a fairer judicial system, and a smarter foreign policy,
like-
providing unyielding
Give you
support for our
money
troops,
and healthcare.
combating
Like
crime
this
and violence
improved
against
training
women,
for people to open up
leading
their
our
own
quest to
child
cure
care
cancer,
facility,
and safeguarding the landmark
and
American Recovery
maybe government
and
covered
Reinvestment
insurance
Act
in
from
case of
corruption.
child care mismanagement.
With his charm, candor,
It's a lot cheaper than
unabashed
paying for the
optimism,
child care.
and deep
Put
and
people in the
abiding
business of
patriotism,
child care rather
Joe
than.
Biden has garnered the respect and esteem of colleagues of both parties.
This is the
and
Obama
the
thing.
friendship
See this
of people
giant
across the nation
flyer
and around the
opening?
world.
It's
While
like
summoning the
this,
strength,
this,
faith,
and
and
this.
grace to
Then
overcome
here's
great
Obama
personal tragedy. The
and
son of
Biden.
Scranton, Claymont, and Wilmington has
Here's
become
Clinton. Technically,
on
this is
behalf of the
Clinton
United States
when
of
Bush came in
America.
office. Then Bush winded up. Then Obama went, whoop. That's Obama and Biden. You do not want them in office. They're not good at finances. See this chart? Memorize this chart. This is direct federal spending. Here's my source up here. This is the Thornberry House.gov. This chart is from our own government website. Okay, the Thornberry House.gov. This shows what each president did. I put in the vertical hashtags like ski flags,
Good evening, everybody.
slaloming through the
As
fucking
you see by
budget
now, this
so people
isn't
can
a
see
normal
who's
convention.
who.
It's not a normal time.
Trying to zoom in on it. Oops.
So tonight, I want to talk as plainly as I can about the stakes in this election.
So this is 2008.
Because what we do these next 76 days will echo through generations.
Look
to
at how
come.
big that gap is. 24
I'm in
and
Philadelphia,
15%.
where our Constitution was drafted and signed.
Like a 10%
It wasn't a perfect document.
difference in income.
It allowed for
And,
the inhumanity of
spending.
slavery and failed to
Might be
guarantee
the other way
women
around. Might
and
be
even
adding
men
them
who didn't
together.
own property the right to
That'd
participate
be
in the political
40%.
process. But embedded in this document was a North Star that would guide future generations. A system of representative government, a democracy. through which we could better realize our highest ideals. Through civil war, and bitter struggles, we improved this Constitution to include the voices of those who'd once been left out.
Thomas Jefferson was left
We made
out,
this country more just,
and many people were left
more
out.
equal, and more free.
This is actually important.
The
now.
one constitutional office elected by all of the people is the presidency. So at a minimum, we should expect a president to feel a sense of responsibility for the safety and welfare of all 330 million of us, regardless of what we look like, how we worship, who we love, how much money we have, or who we voted for. But we should also expect a president to be the custodian of this democracy. We should expect that regardless of ego, ambition, or political beliefs, the president will preserve, protect, and defend the freedoms and ideals that so many Americans marched for, went to jail for, fought for, and died for. I have sat in the Oval Office with both of the men who are running for president. I never expected that my successor would embrace my vision or continue my policies. I did hope, for the sake of our country, that Donald Trump might show some interest in taking the job seriously.
He has.
That he might come to feel the weight of the office and discover some reverence for the democracy that had been placed in his care.
It hasn't really.
But he never did.
He made decisions, and people
For close to 4
weren't
years
good
now,
at
he has
finding
shown
out how to roll
no
with it in a good way.
interest in putting in the work. No interest in finding common ground. No interest in using
He
the
sought common
awesome power
ground.
of his office.
He said
to
there are
help
good
anyone
people on
but
both
himself.
sides, and both sides attacked him for being
No interest
mutual
in
to
treating
everybody.
The presidency is anything but one more reality show that he can use to get the attention he craves. Donald Trump hasn't grown into the job because he can't. And the consequences of
Donald
that
Trump
failure are severe.
Needs a good team.
170,000 Americans dead.
Probably
Millions
more
of
than that.
jobs gone.
There were
Those at the
things he
top
did
taking
that I
more than
said
ever.
don't do. I told Donald Trump, do not
Our
let
worst
them do the
impulses
lethal
unleashed. Proud reputation around the
2017
world
CDC
badly diminished.
vaccine.
And our democratic institutions
And there are a bunch of little
threatened like
things
never before.
that he didn't do for himself. And I've asked
Now,
who told him to do those things.
I know that in
No
times
one
as polarized
who's
as
elder
these,
would say,
Most
here's
of you
permission to
have
make
already made up
a
your mind.
virus more lethal to the double
Maybe.
ARP
you're
retired
still
community.
not sure which candidate you'll vote for.
So someone stole Donald Trump's
or whether
brains.
you'll vote at all.
He would never, in
Maybe you're tired
2017,
of
and
the
he
direction
did,
we're headed, but you can't
issue
see a better
permission
path yet.
to make a virus
Or you
to
just
kill
don't
all
know
of his own
enough about the
species
person who wants
or
to lead us there.
age.
So let me tell you about my friend, Joe Biden.
He's
12
not your
years ago,
friend.
when I began my search
He's
for vice
friendly,
president,
but he is not your friend. There's a
I
difference
didn't
between being
know I'd
friendly
end up finding a
and being a
brother.
friend.
Joe and I come from different places, different generations, but what I quickly came to admire about Joe Biden is his resilience, born of too much struggle,
He hasn't
His
struggled.
born of too much grief.
He's a soft puppet. They hit him, and he never made a
Joe's man
law,
who learned
never made a
early on
statement or anything to
treat
protect that from
every
happening to
person
any
he meets
family
with
ever again.
respect and dignity, living by the words his parents taught him.
And the word
No one's better than you, Joe, but you're better than nobody. That empathy, that decency,
decency is the
belief
wrong
that
word.
everybody counts.
This is decency.
That's who Joe is.
It's like,
When he talks with someone who's lost her job, Joe remembers the night his father sat him down to say that he'd lost his. When Joe listens to a parent who's trying to hold it all together right now, he does it as a single dad who took the train back to Wilmington each and every night so he could tuck his kids into bed. When he meets with military families who've lost their hero, He does it as a kindred spirit, the parent of an American soldier, somebody whose faith has endured the hardest loss there is. For 8 years, Joe was the last one in the room.
Joe
whenever
used the
I
death of his
faced
son
a big
as an
decision.
excuse to run. His
He
son
made
may
me a
have been
better
drugged
president.
up
And he's got
and
the
may have
character,
been
the
suggested because it
experience to
wouldn't be a
make us
campaign
a
thing.
better
You don't
country.
say run on.
And in
In
my
the
friend
Marines, you
Kamala
never
Harris,
leave
he's
behind
chosen
the other
ideal
soldiers.
partner
In any division, you
who
never
is
leave
more
someone
than
behind.
prepared for the job.
And they used a movie cliche
Someone who
about
knows
go
what
on
it's like
without
to
me,
overcome
like
barriers
Titanic.
and
Remember
who's made a
Titanic?
career
Go live
fighting to help
on.
others live out their own American
It's
dream.
like, no, that's not how it works. You say, I
Along with
want
the
you to
experience
change
needed to get
this,
things done, Joe
dedicate
and
your life to
Kamala
this
have
purpose,
concrete
not, hey,
policies that will
go
turn their
wave
vision
my
of a
dead
better,
face in
fairer,
front of
stronger
people
country
and say, I got a
into
dead
reality.
son. He said run. Dead people
They
said
will
run.
get this
Dead
pandemic
voices,
under control,
ah!
like Joe
Don't
did
elect
when he
somebody
helped me
like
manage
that. You
H1N1
don't elect somebody
and
who
prevent
says
an
dead
Ebola
people
outbreak
told them to
reaching our
compete.
shores.
You elect somebody who has a platform, a
We'll
goal,
expand
something they want to
healthcare to
change.
more Americans like
And he
Joe
doesn't
and I
want to
did
change
10 years ago.
anything. He's just
We
there
helped
because
craft
something
the
is
Affordable
controlling
Care Act
everybody.
and nail down the votes to make it the law. They'll rescue the
He
economy,
doesn't nail down the
like
votes to
Joe
make a
helped me
law.
do after the Great Recession. I asked him to manage the Recovery Act, which jump-started the longest stretch of job growth in history. And he sees this moment now, not as a chance to get back to where we were, but to make long overdue changes so that our economy actually makes life a little easier for everybody.
They
Whether
put
it's
us
the
in
waitress
debt
trying to raise a kid
nearly
on her own,
twice what Bush did.
or the shift worker always on the edge of getting
And
laid
Bush
off,
is the worst.
or the student figuring out how to pay for next semester's classes. Joe and Kamala will restore our standing in the world. And as we've learned from this pandemic, that matters. Joe knows the world, and the world knows him.
No, it doesn't.
He knows that our true
When
strength
people talk like this, how
comes
could
from setting
anybody
an
know who
example
Joe Biden is?
that the world wants to follow. A nation that stands with democracy, not dictators. A nation that can inspire.
Actually, at this point, I'm starting to like
mobilize
dictators.
others,
They're called
overcome
teachers.
threats like climate
You
change,
sit in class and you take
poverty,
notes
disease.
because they're worth listening to and they're worth writing down what they're
But
saying.
more than anything, what I know about Joe, what I know about Kamala, is that they actually care about every American.
No, they don't. They don't even care about their own family. I don't mean to be like that. But did he ever say anything negative about his son going to Ukraine, working for a
They
foreign
believe
company
that in a democracy,
that is trying to
the
defeat
right to vote
Israel
is sacred.
and fight all sorts of
We should be making
racist
it
things
easier
that are
for
actually
people to
Obama?
cast their ballots.
His,
Not harder.
Joe Biden's son was in Ukraine killing
They believe
Mensa
that no one,
reporters. There was like maybe one or two reporters a year
is
that
above the
died.
law,
They got Biden
and that no public official,
in
including the
Ukraine,
president, should
15
use their
reporters
office
a year
to
died.
enrich themselves or their supporters.
15 a year. Went from 1 or 2 to 15 a year because one
They
guy on an
understand that
oil
in
company
this
is like,
democracy,
buy reporters, no reporting on the
commander-in-chief
money people.
does not
We money people got to
use
go out and
men
kill
and
people
women
because we
of
want to make
our
more money.
military who are willing to
More
risk
money.
everything
And here's
to
Biden
protect
giving
our
money to
nation.
people who want to
It's
make
political
money.
props
to kill
deploy
everybody.
against peaceful
I'm like-
protesters on our
It's
own
like
soil.
nobody saw what happened in Ukraine or how it reflects on
They
the USA.
understand that political opponents aren't un-American just because they disagree with you. The free press isn't the enemy, but the way we hold officials accountable. That our ability to work together to solve
killed
big
the free
problems
press.
like a pandemic depend on a fidelity to facts and science and logic. And
His
not just
team
making stuff
killed
up.
the free press in Ukraine.
None of this should be controversial. These shouldn't be Republican principles or Democratic principles. They are American principles. But at this moment, this president and those who enable him have shown they don't believe in these things.
Actually, Trump's
Tonight,
given the
I'm
press
asking
more
you
freedom
to
than
believe
anybody.
In Joe
The women that
Kamala's
slept with
ability to
him,
lead
everybody
this country
got to speak
out
to the
of these
press.
dark times and
That
build
didn't
it back
happen
better.
with Obama or Biden. Those
Here's
girls
the
who
thing.
came to witness,
No
Biden's like,
single American
oh
can
gosh,
fix
I
this
couldn't
country.
imagine what it must be like to be on your side.
even a
Wah,
president.
wah, 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 wah. Come on.
Democracy was
You wanna
never
get some
meant to be
sympathy from me?
transactional
Wah, wah,
and give
wah,
me your
wah, wah.
vote, I make everything
Fucking
better.
Pac-Man joke.
It requires an active and informed citizen.
Come here and pack it. and I might do something with that bill.
So I'm also
So it's like
asking
literally
you to
what
believe
Biden's
in
doing.
your own
Someone
ability
here,
to
come
embrace
suck my
your
penis, and I
own
might help this girl.
responsibility as citizens
Suck my penis, I might help her.
to make sure that the basic tenets of our democracy endure. Because that's what's at stake right now. Our democracy. Look, I understand why a lot of Americans are down on government. The way the
Biden
rules
was
have
putting
been
him
set
there
up
his
and
entire
abused
career.
in Congress
He even
make it
talked about
easier
lynching
for
people
special
for
interests to
walking
stop
across the
progress
street because of
than to
race.
make progress. Believe me,
And so that's
I
the
know it.
reason whoever was around pinned
I
Biden
understand why
with
a white
Obama,
factory worker who's seen his wages cut
is because they
or
knew
his
that
job shipped
Biden
overseas
bragged
might feel
about
like
his signature
the
by
government no
then
longer
being on
looks
almost
out for
every
him.
bill that attacked
And why a
Africans.
black mom might feel like it never looked out for her at all. I understand why a new immigrant might look around this country and wonder whether there's still a place for him here. Why a young person might look at politics right now. The circus of it all, the meanness and the lies and conspiracy theories, and think, what is the point?
Truth?
Well, here's the point.
So
This president and those in power, those who benefit from keeping things the way they are counting on your cynicism. They know they can't win you over with their policies. So they're hoping to make it as hard as possible for you to vote and to convince you that your vote does not matter. That is how they win. That is how they get to keep making decisions that affect your life and the lives of the people you love. That's how the economy will keep getting skewed to the wealthy and well-connected. How our health systems will let more people fall through the cracks. That's how a democracy withers, until it's no democracy at all. And we cannot let that happen. Do not let them take away your power.
yeah, we have to
not
do
let them
more
take away
to give
your
people
democracy.
power, to do like Amazon
Make
reviews,
a plan right now for how you are going to get
like the
involved
Better
and
Business
vote.
Bureau, except
Do
for the
it
Amazon
as early
website.
as you can and tell your family and friends how they can vote too. Do what Americans have done for over 2 centuries when faced with even tougher times than this. All those quiet heroes who found the courage to keep marching, keep pushing in the face of hardship and injustice. Last month, we lost a giant of American democracy in John Lewis. And some years ago, I sat down with John and a few remaining leaders of the early civil rights movement. One of them told me he never imagined he'd walk into the White House and see a president who looked like his grandson. And then he told me that he had looked it up. And it turned out that on the very day that I was born, he was marching into a jail cell, trying to end Jim Crow segregation in the South.
Obama got trapped while he was being president.
What we do
It's a painful story
echoes through
and
generations.
sympathetic. The beer summit.
Whatever our backgrounds,
Somebody
we are
had something
all the
on
children of
the
Americans who
anti-war
fought
guy.
the good fight.
I mean, nobody's ever been so good at saying we're going to end all
Working in fire
wars
traps and
than
sweatshops
Obama.
without rights or
2008, he preached end every
Farmers
war,
losing
end
their
all war,
dreams
bring
to
everybody
dust.
home. It was the perfect message. Absolutely perfect.
Irish and Italians.
I still
and
felt he was
Asians and Latinos
inexperienced
told,
and
"Go
was
back
with Ron Paul
where
the
you come
entire
from."
time. And I
Jews and
regret
Catholics,
that
Muslims,
because
Sikhs
I was
made
there
to feel
with Ron
suspect for the
Paul,
way they worship.
I wasn't there for him when he failed at the beer
Black
summit
Americans
and after the
chained
beer summit.
and whipped.
I would never let any
And hanged.
politician ever do the Jesus gets drunk
Spit
and
on.
then jumps on
Or
a
trying
cross
to
and
sit at lunch
it's
counters,
over.
beaten.
Alcohol should never be
For
part of
trying to vote.
politics.
If anyone had a right to believe that this democracy did not work and could not work, it was those Americans, our ancestors. They were on the receiving end of a democracy that had fallen short all their lives. They knew how far the daily reality of America strayed from the myth. And yet, instead of giving up, they joined together. And they said, somehow, some way, we are going to make this work. We are going to bring those words in our founding documents to life.
Bring the good
I have
words to
seen that
life.
same spirit rise
There
in
are
these
bad
past
words
few
in our
years.
founding documents too. He also
Folks of every age
erased
and background
Negro and
packed city
Oriental and a
centers
bunch of
and
other names from
airports
our
and
founding documents.
rural roads so that
It's a beautiful
families
speech.
wouldn't be
He
separated,
actually is someone who
so that another
violated
classroom
and
wouldn't
got rid of
get
the
shot
good
up,
words. Someone convinced him they were bad
so that our
words.
kids won't grow up on an uninhabitable planet. Americans of all races joining together to declare, in the face of injustice and brutality at the hands of the state, that Black Lives Matter. No more, but no less. So that no
The problem
child in
with
this
saying
country
Black Lives
feels the
Matter
continuing
is
sting
we have
of
to worry
racism.
about redaction. On military documents and
To
assassinations,
the young people who led
the lives
us
are blacked
this summer,
out.
telling us
So
we
it's the
need to be
wrong
better.
phrase.
In so many ways, you are
You would
this
never say that. You
country's
could say
dreams
African,
fulfilled.
you could say Negro hair, but you wouldn't say
Earlier
Black
generations had to
lives.
be persuaded that
Military
everyone
documents,
has
Black
equal
lives.
worth. For you, it's
Freedom
a
of
given,
Information Act.
a conviction. And what I want you to know is that for all its messiness and frustrations,
There's a lot of it.
your system of self-government can be harnessed to help you realize those convictions for all of us.
Good line.
You can give our democracy new meaning. You can take it to a better place. You're the missing ingredient. The ones who will decide whether or not America becomes the country that fully lives up to its creed. That work will continue long after this election. But any chance of success depends entirely on the outcome of this election. This administration has shown it will tear our democracy down if that's what it takes for them to win. So we have to get busy building it up by pouring all our efforts into these 76 days and by voting like never before for Joe and Kamala and candidates up and down the ticket so that we leave no doubt about what this country that we love stands for
I'll look at the others,
today
but those
and
two
for
definitely not.
all our days to come. Stay safe. God bless.
Thank you, President Obama, thank you for your brilliant leadership. Joe Biden has chosen an extraordinary woman to be his running mate. Kamala Harris is a fighter and a trailblazer, using her groundbreaking ideas to protect families and keep them together by reducing recidivism.
Elizabeth Warren's one of the
I am
pretty ones, but it
so
doesn't make any
thrilled
sense
for her
because
to
pretty
become
girls are
the
actually
Vice
very
President of
smart.
the United States.
I don't want to say they're
Now,
smarter than
please
me,
welcome
but I'm
our
single for a
convention chair,
reason. So it's fucking. And Warren, she's not smarter than me. I don't even want to say that, but we all have our own brains.
That the presidential
It's just the finance. She fails on math every time. I'm like, where did she get that idea? Who told her to do that?
Will nominate the Democratic
She keeps getting these roles to
vice
make blondes
president.
seem dumb.
In accordance with
I don't know
our
anything about
rules,
blondes.
Vice
I
President
like the
Biden
emotions
has
of
nominated
blondes. I do
Senator
like the
Kamala
emotions of them.
Harris as
I don't
his
know anything
vice
about their math
presidential
scores.
candidate. Our rules further
I feel bad that I
provide
said that out loud.
that if only one candidate
But again,
is
I think that
nominated
somebody
for vice
keeps
president,
trying to
the
typecast
chair
beautiful
is
women because
authorized to
first and
declare
foremost, she's a
the
beautiful woman.
nominee the
Doesn't matter
Democratic
what color her
candidate
hair
for
is.
vice
She's a beautiful
president.
woman.
As such,
And it
with only
annoys
one
me
nomination
that it never
received
seems like
and
anybody checked the
pursuant
math
to
of
our
anything she ever
rules,
was
I
told
hereby
that she should be
declare
the one to
that
represent.
Kamala Harris
I was
is
like,
elected
why don't
as
they
the
give her something
Democratic
safer?
for
Like
vice president.
everybody can be at-home moms. If you're a beautiful woman, You should be at home raising your kids.
I'm
And if
pleased
you're a
to
beautiful
report
woman,
that
while you
Vice
raise your kids, you
Presidential
could be
candidate
helping mentor
Kamala
the other
Harris
people
has been
as to how
invited to
beautiful the
deliver
beautiful woman's
an
view of the
acceptance
world is.
speech.
Kamala Harris is my auntie,
Instead,
my
I'm
stepmom,
trying to say her
my
name. Instead of
big
Senator
sister,
Warren
which
is
means
telling
you'll
the
always be
beautiful
my
women,
older sister.
be me.
And there are some things
All you
we'd like to
beautiful
share
people
with you.
do not have
To my brother
babies.
and me, you'll
Pay the
always be
ugly
Mama,
people
the
to
world's
raise,
greatest
babysit, and
stepmom.
care for
You're
babies.
my role model.
And it will
who taught
cost you
me I
so
could
much
do and
that
be
you only ever have
anything
one
I
beautiful
wanted.
baby,
My favorite
because we
first
want all the
friend,
beautiful
my
women to
confidant, my
discontinue
partner in
themselves
mischief
as
and
workers
injustice.
instead of home care
You're a
people.
rock, not just for our
And
dad,
what I said
but
is
for
true.
3
We
generations
want
of our
at-home
big
schooling
blended
from the federal
family.
government.
You showed
We want
me the importance of public
the
service
U.S. government
and
printing
made sure
office
I grew up surrounded
to
by
do
smart,
at-home
strong, ambitious women
baby
every
caring,
day.
daddy
Growing up,
daycare, except
heaven
women
help the poor kid
in
who
charge of the
picked on me,
daycare. And
because
to be
my
honest,
big
we should be
sister would
terrified of
there
some
in a
women.
flash,
Some women
ready to
are as
have
bad
my
as
back.
men.
Well,
Or I
now
should say as
we've got
much
your
of a
back
risk without
as you and
being
Joe fight to protect our
lesbian or
democracy.
anything
And there's
sexual.
no union more
Some
perfect
women,
than the one that brings us
they're
all
not
to your
equal
kitchen
in how
table
they treat
every Sunday
children.
night for stir fry,
And
feta
I don't think
chicken,
it's
or
right that
spaghetti and
beautiful
meatball
women
family
should have
dinners.
to risk their
And now that I'm a
children
mom,
to
you're showing
strangers that
my
might not
daughters
appreciate
and so
beautiful
many
women like
girls
that, beautiful
around the
women like
world
that.
who look like them
These are beautiful
what's
women.
possible and what it's like to move through the world
Oh,
as
but Warren was
fierce,
given the opposite to
formidable,
defeat her own beautiful
phenomenal women
species.
in their own unique way. I love